Hello, are you ready for something different? We're still working on one of my little birds here. I haven't quite finished this one. As you can see, I've still got a pin in it, and I haven't finished the stitching or anything, but I got it to this point, and I wanted to make it a place to rest. And so I wanted to change from the nests that I've been making. And so I decided to try a birdhouse and maybe set my little bird on the birdhouse. So I wanted just to get you started, show you what I've done, and take you along. Now this is going to be a segmented video because again we're going to go from beginning to the end in one video. This was just a piece of loose weave burlap looking fabric here. I had a little square left of that, so I used that. I had some of this fabric right here. I cut it for a roof and pinned it on. I had a piece of upholstery fabric here, and it's double-sided, and so I cut some strips out of that and put it for the hole and also for a tree limb for a little bird to sit on. Okay, so I wanted to get you started in case you want to try to make something with me. I do have a video where I show you how I put together these birds, and if again, just very briefly, if you want to just start with a petal shape body, find something for a tail, start layering up, use lots of stitching and fibers and things that give you a sense of feather and movement. Okay, some kind of an eye. These don't have to be perfect. These aren't replicas of real birds. These are your creations, so you can do them the way you want to. So this is the basis, and when I get it down, I may add a little bit more to it, but that'll be the basis for this little scene here. And I do plan to put some leaves around also. So this will be the beginning, and then we'll get to the next part now. As you can see, I'm just going to do some simple overcast stitches here over the edges of this. I did it around the little hole. Very simple. I'm leaving the edges frayed and tattered, not trying to clean those up. Remember, this is a birdhouse and it's sitting out in the weather, and you know how they look after a while. And so this is a well-loved and well-used birdhouse. So it's going to show some wear and tear. Okay. Very simple stitching and nothing elaborate here. Just attaching the roof. And while we're doing it, we're catching the top of that birdhouse fabric. So they're both getting secured at the same time. Okay. Oh, stuck myself. Oh, you wouldn't be a true stitcher if you weren't sticking yourself occasionally. So here we go, here we go. What has been some of your favorite projects that you have followed here on my channel? Let me know. It's important. I make this channel for me, of course, but also for all of my friends and subscribers. So I do like to do things I love to do, and I like to do things that you like, so that we both have some interest here. And so if you don't mind, just tell me some of your favorite projects that I've done. Do you have a favorite YouTube creator? Please share that with us. We all love our YouTube creators, and you can never have too many of them in your subscriptions. There's always something to watch that way. You know, I subscribe to quite a few channels first time I go by. You know, over time, I may delete that subscription if it doesn't prove to be something that is useful to me. But I love adding new ones because I love just learning from other people, getting inspiration from them. I have learned so many techniques and through the years from other people that's made the things that I want to do easier because they had an easier way to do it than I did. So, and sometimes I just love to be entertained by creators. I just like to sit back, cup of tea, and just watch, listen, and enjoy. I often thought we have a friend that's in a assisted living, and I often thought, why don't they have a room, little space with a television that they keep on the YouTube channel with different crafting creator channels throughout the day. Those ladies that are in there, so many of them can't do it anymore, but they remember that they loved it. They remember so many things, and to be able to sit and watch that and listen to someone talk to them, wouldn't that fill some of those blank hours that they just sit and stare out the window because they can't really participate in other things? Their mind is just blank. Why? I've often wondered, why don't they do that? There's just take a little bit of effort to find some good creator channels and then schedule that out through the day for the ladies to watch. And a lot of men too, they could do the same thing with channels that interest men. There's so many things. Keep their minds occupied, keep them entertained, keep them learning if possible. Don't just let them sit and vegetate. It just breaks my heart to see that when it doesn't have to be that way. Oops. I'll have to sew him in on something and secure him. Okay, like that. Okay, that's our beginning on our stitching, and I'm not going to bore you with watching me stitch every bit of this, but we'll be back in another segment with as we progress. Stay scrap happy. Okay, we've gotten a little further along here in section 2, and I've created some foliage coming up off of this tree limb here to give a simulation of foliage. Big over exaggerated leaves, a little ladybug here, and now I'm going to do these flowers. These are little silk flowers. I just pull them off the the stem here, and put them down, spread them out just a little bit, and just to add a little flower element here on the side. And now I'm going to sew this down. As I did overcast the roof and the hole, and I've sewn all of this other in. It's kind of thick in here, so everything that's there is sewn down so far. Not any fancy stitches, just straight stitches and overcast stitches, running stitches, that type of thing. Just getting it down. I like being a fiber artist. I do like doing most of my embellishments with fibers, fabrics, and other things like that, rather than just beautiful stitching. I'm not an embroidery artist, so but I do in time enjoy doing a little bit of that, but I really like using the fibers and the fabrics and things like that. So that's why you won't find a whole lot of elaborate embroidery on in my art. For a person who likes to do that, there is certainly a place for that in fiber art, and you can do your embellishment in whatever style that you prefer, and do that. It's doing you very well, and you'll enjoy that, and you'll love your work more because it has more of you in it. Okay, like I said, we just want to get these down. I don't want them totally flat, a little bit dimensional, so I'm sewing them down their centers and leaving their edges to kick up just a little bit. The little ladybug is a brad, and so she was easy to stick on there. And she had her own little leaf to perch on, so she was happy. Okay. About to get this one done. I'm going to open this one up a little bit more, and put a French knot in the center of it and see what happens there. Just make it yellow. Yeah, that looks good. I think I'll go ahead and do that in the center of the other ones too. So we have a French knot. Keep it in the same color. That again, this is an embellishment, but if I were to change color in the center, it would bring more attention to the flowers. And I think that I didn't want that. I want the flowers to be there, but I want them to blend a little bit more. I don't want them to be a focal point. So staying in the same color tone lets them blend better. Okay. One more French knot here in the center. Okay. All right. I like that. Do you like that? I think that looks rather cool myself. I like it, I like it, I like it. Okay, now let's tie that off. 1, 2, 3. 3 is my special number for thread. Okay. All right, liking it so far. Okay, now you remember the little bird that I have already constructed the majority of it, but I have some additional detailing to do before I put it down, and that is to secure this, what almost looks like hair here, this yarn. Going around, we'll call it hair. She's got some glorious hair here for this little ladybird. She's a colorful bird, and that's good because she has to compete with the flowers for attention. Gotta rethread my needle. And so you'll see her when you see this piece of art. Okay, I'm going to take out the pin here that's holding this down. There you go. Switch over to this other side and catch it before it comes out of place. And catch it up in here. Okay, let's see. I think that will do it. Well, these little strands down here, we'll just leave them down there. Okay, so I think everything is secured, and we can actually sew it down. Keep it maybe about like that, a little bit further in. Let's see if it were to frame. That would look something like that. Bring it up a little. Yeah, that would look good. I think that's a good position. Let me pin her there so she doesn't fly off. We can get her stay still for a minute. There we go. You know what? I'm going to use the thread that I've got to do the tail with. And we're just going to overcast this tail right on the edge with this creamy brown here. Yeah. I got to come back and do the house, the birdhouse, and do some stitching on it. But I want to get the bird secured a little so I know where she's at on this house. Now you notice I'm sewing this too. This has all been done on quilt batting. And when I get through with the actual piece, I'm going to cut it out and put that on a different piece of background. And I'll have that little white outline around the piece. I haven't tried one that way yet, but I was thinking that I might like that, and so I'm going to try it on this one. You'll never know unless you try, so don't be scared of trying things. If it doesn't look good, you know what? There's always another day and another piece. Oh, don't let it bother you, discourage you. Just keep on being adventurous. Oh. Okay, we about got the tail on here. And that will keep her still because her tail is pinned down. Okay. That's this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we're going to use, I'm thinking about using some of this gray. Yes, on this house. This is a steel gray. It's not a true black. Oh, my chair squeaks, and I apologize for moving a lot, but somehow I have put my back out. If it ain't one thing, it's another, isn't it? Moved wrong, slept wrong, did something. And so I have to keep changing position. I'm sure you know what that feels like. Especially if you're older. Get this needle threaded. And what do you know? It went through first time. Good for us. Okay. All right. Now, let's see what we're going to do here. We're going to have to do an overcast on this side. This is very loose weaved fabric, and it will definitely all fray out. So let's catch it in there. You know, the birds that I make, I love each one of the birds. But a bird needs a place to be. And my first creations, I created nests with them. And so I thought, well, let's do something different. And so I thought, well, you know, let's give it a little birdhouse and see if we like that. Sometimes I love birds just on a limb, just sitting on a limb with some greenery. And so I may do some that way too. Okay. Being very careful here because I don't want to stretch this fabric and distort it because it's very soft on the edges. And like I said, it frays easy here, but it also will pull and distort easy if I put too much pressure on it. I'm also thinking about doing, I'm going to see what it'll look like here in a minute, about doing some lines in it like there were maybe planks, little planks of boards. I don't know whether I'll do it or not. I'll lay this thread on it in just a minute and see what it looks like. Run this thread to the front so I can play with it. Okay, that went down well. I was thinking about, taking this thread and making, maybe just one or two would be enough. Let's try that. Just to say that I don't know what it's going to actually take or what it's going to actually look like, but let's see. And I think we're going to do a large running stitch here, back stitch I mean, and see if we can keep it going in a straight line. Straight lines are a real challenge for me, as you probably noticed. Oh. Okay, there's that. I will need to have to bring it down, but while we're up at the top, let's put one down this way. I think we can run him all the way down here. Let him come out under the hole. There you go. And this is going to work out well because I can just go straight under the leaf. Come out. Right there. Go down. And while we're over here, we'll run that one down. Not much of it will show, but a little bit. There you go. Now, also, we need to catch the bottom of this and overcast it. Down here on the bottom. Okay, let's see. I'm going to bring you up just a little bit so you can see a little bit more how I'm doing these things. Pulling the edge of this birdhouse to this limb as I overcast so that a batting doesn't show through there. Make it look more like the treehouse is sitting on, the birdhouse is sitting on the limb. And we have got to tie off. Well, not tie off, but secure. I like to go back through these threads when I can because it tightens it up. Okay, all right. I like that, don't you? I think those lines were good because that was a lot of big open brown space that just kind of blah, but now it pulls it together. I'm thinking I like that. Now I have to decide what I'm going to finish off this bird with and anything else that I'm going to do, and get it cut out and put on the background. And so that I'm going to save for section 3 on this video, so make sure you stay with me and we'll be finishing this off next time. Okay, until then, stay scrap happy. Into our next section here, I've chosen the background fabric, and that was important because I needed to know what color to use in attaching this and maybe to accent this bird here. And I decided that this color, which is a plum color, which the background is not exactly plum, it's more of a really deep rust color, but that would blend well with it, and I think it would accentuate the bird and also be look good on as I'm sewing this down. So I'm going to get this positioned on here. I think that's going to be good right there, and get it pinned on so that I can start attaching it. I have a little bit of detailing to do as I go, but you know, that can wait till I'm a little further along on this part. Okay, and let's put one right here in this tail section. Keep it in place. All right, that looks like it's down. I think the first thing I'm going to do is attach this major piece to the background. And I'm going to just do that with a running stitch around the outside edges into the batting area. I'm going to use that as my stitching area. Just using a fairly large running stitch. to do that. I love the contrast that this background gives this piece, and I think it sets it off nicely. It has an old-fashioned calico print, and it is a vintage fabric itself, and so it looks good with this bird and birdhouse. Yes, I think the color blends well. Okay, I hope you've been inspired so far that you're thinking about a birdhouse and a bird of your own. Don't forget that I do have videos on how to create these scrappy birds out of just scraps, and so you can check that out if you need a little assistance there. And also the bird nests, and then of course you know, a bird house. You can do it any way you want to do it. This larger running stitch doesn't take long to get around this. This is the first time that I put something on quilt batting and then cut it out to put it on another background. And I'm liking that effect a lot. I think that's great way to do that. I'm probably doing more of that in the future, putting it on one background, cutting it out, and putting it on another, because that itself is like framing it and setting it off. And also it eliminates a lot of time the need for backstitching, outlining some of these pieces, because what you put it on, like the batting, sets it off all by itself. Let's come down into here. Quilt batting is a very affordable medium to use. Also, when you buy a package of bed-size quilt batting, there is a lot of fabric in there, and so it goes a long way, and it makes doing something like this with it affordable. I know a lot of people cannot just go out and buy a bunch of fabric and stuff. It's expensive these days, and times are hard around the world, and so just using what you have. And if you have some offcuts or whatever of batting that are large enough, definitely use those scraps. And if you have smaller ones, think about sewing them together to give you a bigger piece that you could use for a background like this. In other words, make those scraps work for you. Don't waste anything. Sometimes if you don't have that, you might have old sheeting that you can cut up. That's a lot of fabric in an old sheet that's seen better days, and you're ready to recycle it. Let's go under the leaf part here. Okay. Looking good so far, don't you think? I'm liking it, liking it. Sometimes people have wondered why I don't use a hoop when I'm working more. Hoop, however you say it. That's not how I learned as a child to do needlework. I never was presented with a hoop or learned to stitch in it. So what I learned to do, somebody said, well, how do you control your tension and things so that you're, not stretching and twisting your fabric and so forth and so on. And all I can say is that when I was being taught as a child to embroider, I didn't have a hook, and I was taught to pay attention to what was happening with my thread and my fabric through the use of my fingers here in the back, and that I could apply tension and lessen tension, and I could straighten and control a lot of things by what I was doing with my fingers in the back of the piece. And so that's how I learned, and that's how I do it. I've never worked in a hook. I have to say I did try it. I didn't like it. What I tried it on was when I was doing a large cross stitch project, and I absolutely hated working in the hook. So all my cross stitch projects I did just holding the piece in my hand, and nothing so far has come out misshapen or anything like that. And I always do press my pieces when I get through. From the back side I press them. That takes care of any little residual. Now every once in a while you might have a little pucker thing, but a lot of times with slow stitching, when you stitch through it, all that's gone. So anyway, that's my answer to that. I never learned how to use a hoop, truly, because I didn't like using it, so I just put it down and didn't keep working with it. So, but I know a lot of people do swear by it, and they use it constantly, and so you have to learn that from somebody else, because I can't help you with that one. I can imagine that in fine embroidery, that would be really essential, especially when you're working over fabrics where you're just working over certain thread count and not Aida cloth or anything like that. I can imagine a hoop is very helpful in those situations. But as you see, I'm not a fine embroiderer. I'm a scrappy artist. This old vintage fabric is very tight weaved. Okay, I just have a little bit more over here, and the piece itself will be down. Let's load up that needle again, separate some thread here. Okay. You know, sometimes when you're looking around YouTube for the different craft videos, you find that there's multiple videos on any one thing. For instance, if you want to create a bird, there's multiple videos on all kinds of birds you can create. That's wonderful because we all don't have the same equipment, and we all don't have the same skills, and we all don't like the same thing. And isn't it wonderful that we have so many different things to choose from? And what I love is as I go around and I watch different videos, I love the process because everyone seems to have just a little different process they use to get where they want to go. And they have a different style, and their pieces come out looking different. So that gives you, the creator, an opportunity to learn and emulate. If you like a certain style, to try to emulate that and see if you can get the same look. And it just helps us so much that there's so much diversity. One time a creator said, well, I hate it because when I make something, seems like so-and-so and so-and-so end up making it right behind me, and they create videos. I said, well, that's wonderful. Just think about all the different things that those who are watching, all the different elements they get because different creators are inspired by your work and they want to create something like that in their own style. And so they do their videos. And I said, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's just really wonderful, actually. I said, you know, think about it. You do you, and they'll do them, and we'll all be inspired and learn from each other. There's no reason for any jealousy or anything like that, just because you make a bird and the next day or two somebody else creates birds. First of all, they may never even have seen yours. And second, if they're copying you because they were inspired by your work, well, take it as a compliment and go on and create your own thing. Do you, and don't worry about them. Let them do them, you know? And just go for it, because in the end, you know, if I want to create a bird and I can find 10 different creators who created birds, I'm going to learn a lot about how to do it, and I'm going to find somebody that I really like their style, and then I can try to do their style my way, and how much fun is that? So let's just, you know, be happy that we have all this diversity. Have you ever tried copying somebody else's work anyway? Let's say somebody does something and you love the look of it and you want yours to come out just like theirs. It never happens. It never happens, ever, because we're not the same people. We don't do things exactly the same. You give us the same thing and it's just not going to look exactly the same when you get through. And so, you know, that's why I say just learn to do you very well. One lady told me, she said, I never thought of making birds out of scraps. I always use, you know, uncut fabric, in other words, and unused fabric, and make it from new stuff. And I make birds, she said, and they're pretty, but I never thought about making a bird from a scrap. And she said, but I love the idea and I like the look, and I'm going to try it. And so I haven't heard back from her. I don't know whether she did or not, but And, I thought, okay, that's great. I inspired somebody to use their scraps. That's wonderful. That's what I love. And I don't know when I started loving scraps so much, because I used to be a person that bought new fabric for everything. And excuse me. So I don't know when I started using scraps more, but it's been many years. And I'm thinking that probably for about a decade, I made art quilts, and I needed lots of different fabrics and textiles. I didn't need much of it, but I needed lots of diversity. And I think that's when I heavily started thrifting and looking for things, clothing and different things that I could cut up. And I think that's when I really fell in love with scraps so much. And if you've seen some of my community posts, you've seen some of the fiber art that I did with fusible web, where there's no sewing involved, and it's just creating art. But that was tons of fusing a lot of fabric and then cutting it up into little pieces and putting it back together in a mosaic or stained glass style. And little hundreds, sometimes I think thousands of little pieces of fabric. But it was so much fun. Very time consuming. Took me months to make some of those, one little piece at a time, but it was so satisfying when I got through. I loved it. Okay, that is sewn on. So let's see if we can do the bird. What did I do with his beak? Did I spill him out somewhere and lose him? See underneath there? No. Oh, I had a beak here at one time. Well, let's see if I can find another one. Here's a little triangle. Let's cut him off, see if he'll make a beak. Yeah, but it's black on black. That's not going to work. Let's try something else. Here's a blue one. Maybe we can make that work. Can we make that work? I think so. Let's get that one on and see what happens. Let's get our little thread back here. Let's see if we can attach that first. Otherwise, we will be losing it all the time. Let's see if we can just do this in a couple of long stitches to get out to the do it like that. Get it on. Whoops. Don't need him anymore. Okay, that works. I might make another one. Stitch. Okay. Put it to the back side. sure I don't have it in my thing. Let's make it a little stronger. Okay. All right. That looks fairly good, doesn't it? Okay. Let's take this same thread and let's overcast our fish. Good grief. Our bird. Yeah, fishes and bird houses. Wouldn't that be something? There's an original thought. Put a fish in a birdhouse. This is pretty thick because if you remember that these fish, I am stuck on fish. These birds are created on pieces that have already been quilted. So they have a lot of layers of fabric, plus they have quilt batting on the back of that. So they're pretty substantial, and sometimes getting the needle through it is a job. That's an Do you have any things? If I do that once, I do that 10 times every day. What are you having for lunch today? I think I'm going to have spaghetti. Yesterday I cooked, I had some roasted chicken left over, so I took it and put it in chicken gravy, chopped it up and put it in, made gravy, so chicken and gravy over hot biscuits. One of my husband's favorites. It's a great way to use leftover chicken too. And it makes a little chicken go a long way. If you got a family, a little bit of chicken and a lot of gravy will go a long way. Let's pull this piece back. About to run out of thread here, and when I do, I will close this section, and then I will do another one for the final part of this video. It's coming on, coming on. I'm going to start angling my stitches from this point out so that they'll create a little simulation of movement and like feathers. Okay. All right, about to run out of thread, so I'm going to call that quit on this side, and then I'll see you next section. Well, we just got to the finished part of this project, and I'm loving it. I really think it turned out well. It's a cute, whimsical piece. Utilizes the bird really well, gives this bird a place to live. Cute little bird house. I'm just really liking it, and I wanted to show you some of the finishing stitches so that you'll see what I did here with the bird to give it some sense of movement. Angled the threads on the outside, this away at the top and this away at the bottom. Using threads to simulate wings and, you know, just layers of feathers there on out into the tail section. It's enough that it gives it a little bit of movement and a little delineation between the wing and the body. Of course, it's a whimsical little bird. Nothing about it is exact. Its little feet are yellow down here. Little bird beak is blue. And it has some funny little red stuff on its little tail section. So we don't know what that is, but she likes it. And we know it's a she because she has this really pretty hair. Isn't that cute? Yeah. She's conversing here with the little ladybug, I guess, you know. And she has a really nice place to live, and she's planted some really nice floral things around her little birdhouse home. Isn't that cute? I just love it. Everything is done with straight stitches except for the little French knots here and some French knots on the flower centers. Everything else is just plain straight stitch. There's nothing fancy about it. It's just a matter of attaching. I did stitch the background in just a running stitch also, and so it has a quilted background that way. It is on quilt batting. And I do like the way the quilt batting accentuates the piece by just cutting it out on the edge like that. It accentuates, but it doesn't detract. I really like that effect. I might use that more. So I wanted to show you how the finished piece turned out, and I hope you enjoyed the process. Excuse me. And you'll make a little home for your birds. And again, let's see what size this is. This is it's 11 inches wide by right at 9 inches deep. So it's a nice little size here. It would fit in an 8 by 10 frame very well, or mat, whatever you want to put it in. And so that would look good. I don't have anything big enough mat wise to showcase it, because you can see the biggest thing I have, it just cuts it off. But it would look good in a mat. Even this littler one that's darker, just to give you some idea what a mat might look like around it, something like that. But it looks pretty good that way. So okay, that's a done deal. Until next time, play along with me and we'll both stay scrap happy.